So it was like everybody that I knew was gone, and there's guys that I've never raced and still didn't race in the season. So I think all those other factors happening and me still being able to pull it off was just like so cool afterwards. Like I initially relief, and then I just like celebrated afterwards, just like let out a yell. I was like, yes, I nailed it. Like I can race people on the day. It doesn't matter like kind of who shows up or what I was expecting. So
that was James Corrigan today on the Running Effect podcast. I'm privileged to welcome back James onto the podcast after he brings home his first NCAA title last weekend in Eugene, Oregon at the 2025 NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships. James brought home a dub. He sealed the deal. He won in 8:16, won his first NCAA title in the steeplechase. Today's conversation centers around this past season, him winning the title, his preparation, his mindset, as well as his Olympic experience last year, how he bridged the gap between last Olympics and this track season, his goals, his mindset, his ambitions, and now how he's going into USA's next month, early August. So kind of next month, somewhat the following month after that, and how James wants to make a world team and just cement his legacy and greatness. This is an inside look at the mindset of a champion. I hope you all enjoy this conversation with the man, the myth, the legend, James Corrigan. And before we hop in, hit the follow button so you never miss another episode. 5-star review takes 5 seconds to hit that button, and share the podcast with a friend. Takes 1 text. Appreciate you all. Mr. James Corrigan, also Mr. NCAA champion of the steeplechase. Welcome back to the podcast. Last time recapping how you made the Olympic team. This time recapping an NCAA title. It's always a good time talking to you. How you doing this morning, man?
yeah, doing well. I appreciate it. It was it's fun to be back on after another dub. I guess this time it was a different scenario, but just as sweet.
I know we talked about this extensively in our last conversation, kind of the discussion around like, where did this guy come from? He didn't place well at NCAAs, and then he kind of balled out at USA's. This year, you kind of flipped the script. I'm sure you kind of had a swagger on your shoulder a little bit because NCAAs didn't go how you would have hoped last year. Did that motivate you at all going into this year?
Yeah, it definitely motivated me. I also think that sometimes, an outside perspective is going to be very different than the athletes and coaches' perspective. And so last year, my perspective was that I was just, getting better and better. And I think fitness-wise, I had it in me to win last year. But you don't always, that's the point of a championship race is that, everybody shows up fit, but someone's going to outperform on the day. And on that day, while I think I was fit enough to win it, I didn't correctly manage the rounds. So I think knowing that, I wasn't disappointed, especially like I was able to keep a full head of steam going into the trials and stuff. And then same thing with this year. I wasn't necessarily disappointed with last year. I was more just excited because I knew the one thing I needed to change, and my fitness wasn't the problem. It was just a matter of recovery. And so I think I definitely came into this season very confident and didn't really have a doubt in my mind that I could get back to that level.
How nerve-wracking are the rounds? Because I've talked to athletes for years now, and it seems like the semifinal can almost be more nerve-wracking than the final itself.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like for me, the first round was not nearly as nerve-wracking as the final, just because I knew I'm good enough to make it to the final, and I've had so much race experience now that it doesn't worry me the same way. But I will say it was much harder than I anticipated it being, at least a couple months ago. Like, the first round was no joke this year. Like, I had to push and squeeze pretty uncomfortably. It's not quite fast enough to, get you activated where you feel like you're in that flow state, but it also was not slow enough to relax. So definitely went quicker than I expected, but I was happy to make it through and shut it down at the end. Was hoping to do that earlier, but it's just how it goes, competitive field.
With Kenneth before you and now you, BYU is low-key becoming Steeplechase U. I feel like they have been on the women's side, but it kind of transferred over to the men's side as well. How much pride do you take in the fact of bringing another title home to BYU?
Oh, it feels great. Yeah, I at practice we always consider ourselves, at least from our perspective, we're like, yeah, we're a steeplechase school, and we want to be the steeplechase school, and it comes from one performance at a time. And so being able to help continue that legacy and raise the bar feels good.
Obviously, last year you make the Olympics, which is just a whole nother level of competition. How did you come back going into this year, kind of with a reset expectation, as well as you tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm sure your mindset is a little bit broader, a little more like you're probably still thinking about USA's at this point. So how did
Yeah.
you focus on NCAA's amidst kind of the bigger landscape now?
Yeah, it is an interesting perspective because I'm an NCAA athlete first in the sense, that chronologically those races happen first. But I also know that for my future, it helps to do good at the global championship if I can make it again. And so planning this season was difficult in the sense that it's not like a common thing to plan for it. But this year I feel way more confident because we were able to sit down and actually plan for it. Last year was like a scramble to figure out what to do, how we were going to stretch my fitness out longer, and it was uncomfortable and difficult. This year, though, our plan going in, while we did have the broader perspective of another global team, and although it was going to be really difficult, let's set our sights for that. We still made the NCAA the biggest emphasis, and so I still wanted to peak for this race, and it was very important to me. And so we hit a little mini peak. And the nice thing is, after finishing that race, it was very difficult for how I've had to race. That was the hardest I've had to race. I haven't really been challenged, I guess, until now, like to show more of my fitness. And so I do feel like I'm kind of in the middle of the season, which is great because in a sense, I ended my NCAA season and I'm building mileage back up as if I'm starting another season this week. And so it feels good to be planning for 2 seasons in effect, but not feel burnt out from the first one. So we're kind of, that was kind of I guess the short way of saying that. Like we were basically going to try to split it into 2 seasons, hit a small peak for nationals, make that important, not treat that lightly, and then try to make an effort to stretch the second season as long as we could go. Because I definitely do want to make another global team, and I want to just be able to duplicate those efforts that I've given before.
I think something I've found fascinating is both the men's and women's sides of the NCAA. It seems that I would love someone to do research on this. If you're listening out there and want to kill some time, please do it and send it to me.
Right.
But I feel like it's the one event that like whoever wins NCAAs on both sides has a really good chance at making either the U.S. team or is running the U.S. leading time at the time of the championships. And I feel like the NCAA has really good turnover rate in the steeplechase of like, if you're the best in the NCAA, you are very well could be the top best or top 3. And I feel like we've seen that on both genders. What's your take on that and perspective as someone who's kind of in it? And now I don't feel like you're just leading the NCAA, but you're looking to be kind of the future of the U.S. steeplechase, probably along with Kenneth at this point.
Oh yeah, I can't count him out. So if I understand correct question correctly, you're saying like there is an obvious correlation there with like the top steeplechasers in college and how it transfers to USA fields. I think first of all, just like from a very factual standpoint, the fields in the steeplechase, because it's such a niche event, are not going to be as deep. Like there's not going to be the same concentration of people, and so I think that does make things easier in terms of you can run. Let's say like I ran like an 8:16, and my 8:16 will put me in the top 5 guys in the nation maybe. Whereas if I run an incredible 5K time, there might be 50 guys that are all at that same time, and so the saturation definitely plays a role. But in that same respect, I think that because it's such a niche event and there's not many people that can do it healthily or want to put all their effort into it, it does make it so that those who put a lot of time and energy into the steeplechase tend to do well in the national scene as well because they're willing to make it their main event. So I definitely agree with you. I think there is something to be said for those that are really good in the NCAA scene. It is amazing to me on the women's side. I was blown away this last meet, this last national meet. They were incredible. Like Lexi, and actually, so first, second, and even third all broke the standard, right? Like that's insane. We got within a second of it, which I'm happy to say because that's a great step for me. But I don't know. I'm definitely amazed because it seems like the steeplechase translates very well over. I don't know. I don't think I have any specific thoughts on that besides I'm just I'm impressed.
Sub-9 for a woman in the NCAA. Did you ever think this day would come?
Not anytime soon. But to be fair, I've said that about a lot of things in the last 2 years. So.
Crazy stuff. For you, I'm assuming you train with Kenneth in practice. What were the conversations with him throughout the season as well as kind of leading into the NCAA meet?
Yeah, I mean, we're on a different schedule, especially before we both are training for USAs, but we do get to overlap a lot. And so in our workouts, some of the conversations were, hey, you're looking really good in practice. This aspect I think you've been doing better on. You're looking really strong over this part, and that's going to bode well for the race. And in the last workout I did with him before nationals, he was just reminding me how strong I was over the last 800 and how that was going to play a big role. So I feel like I just get a lot of positive comments here and there, and even just reminders, just without saying anything, just like, hey, I'm training with Kenneth Brooks, and I'm sticking with this guy. Regardless of if I've had to put forth the effort to race a world standard type time, or effort, like I'm fit enough for that kind of race because I'm training with a guy that's running, much, much faster. So, if anything, just running with him amid the comments that he makes was really confidence boosting.
Obviously, the steeplechase is one of the more tactical events. Even if it's fast, there are a lot of tactics that go over, hurdling barriers every single lap.
Sure.
For you, where do you feel like you learned to be excellent at the event of steeplechase? And I think those who have followed your progression in career can kind of see that every year you're taking steps, leaps and bounds. What's the inside of that progress like?
Yeah, I like to compartmentalize it a little bit. I treat it like a bit of a video game where it's like, I don't know, it's like steeplechase is fun and there's so many things you can improve on. And so the way I see it is every micro improvement I make in one area is 35%, because everything gets multiplied per barrier, per lap. So I think about it that way, and I think it helps me set manageable goals and process goals, and those types of things help you improve at a faster rate than if you're setting, I guess, harsh expectations for yourself rather than process goals. So I think the mindset helps a lot by setting those types of encouraging checkpoints for myself. But on a smaller scale, yeah, I kind of pick one thing each workout that I'm trying to work on until I nail it. And so this last training block, I was really focused on being aggressive into the barriers because I wanted to practice how it would feel to approach fast while I was tired. And it was scary in practice because I'm jumping further back than I've ever jumped. And obviously you kind of overtrain in practice and overdo it sometimes or do overspeed because in the race you won't be running as fast, maybe the last lap. But I feel like the more I focus on one thing, workout after workout, the more I become comfortable, and then I can put that away, know that I'm confident in it, not worry, and then move on to the next thing. So yeah, I kind of like compartmentalizing like that, kind of pretend like I'm leveling up in a video game, and I've still got a lot of levels to go in my form. So in the best way possible. I'm very excited for that.
Coach Eyestone, what were the conversations like with him leading into this race? I know he's a man of either many words or few words, but the few words pack a punch. What do you say to you?
Yeah, it's definitely true. Yeah, I think Ed gets quieter the closer we get to nationals. And it's almost this like looming feeling where we both know what's kind of going on. We both know where we stand in terms of like ranking and how we feel like we have a shot at the race. And so he definitely let me know that like after each workout and after each race that I would run that was going well, he'd just remind me like, this is perfect for nationals. Like, this is what we need. And so it's just like quiet confirmation after little intervals here and there. And I think we were probably both more vocal about winning this year than we were last year. Last year, we probably said it once and didn't even fully say it. We were kind of just like alluding to the fact that I possibly could win nationals, which was really exciting. But this year, I was very vocal with it early on and said, I want to train to win. Like, I want that to be out there. I don't care about the pressure that holds. And so I think we talked about it a lot more about, hey, this is what it's going to take to win. And so it was cool to have more conversations about it, very open and candid, because sometimes we can beat around the bush. But yeah, leading up to it, it was a lot of, hey, you just did this workout. That's exactly what we needed in the race. Or we're going to need exactly what you just did here. We need you to duplicate that. Or the recovery you just pulled off in between conference, we need you to do that again. So it felt good to be very on the same page and vocal about it leading up. Didn't feel like it was like something that we were like nervous about. It was just like, we know what we need to do.
Workout schedule, what was that like? How often are you doing steeplechase workouts versus tempos with the guys, and what is that kind of general weekly progression look like for you?
Yeah, I feel like in my base work, I don't do as many steeplechase workouts. A lot of it is I'll have 2 workouts a week, and one's more threshold and one's more track interval type stuff. And as we get closer, those track workouts get faster. And then towards the end of the season, yeah, I'm definitely doing one more threshold workout with the guys at the beginning of the week, and then I do my own steeple workout when they're on the track doing interval work. So I miss out on a lot of fun workouts in my mind, but I also love the steeplechase workouts, and so those are fun in their own respect. But it is tough sometimes because I don't get to work out with the 5K, 10K group, which I love because those workouts, they change so often, and so I know that I'm like gonna do my same steeple workout, and I know I'm gonna get good work in. But towards the end of the season, yeah, I kind of split off, and I'll do half with them, half on my own for the week.
Was there a specific split within a steeple workout you hit, or workout you hit, just overall steeple going into NCAAs, that you were like, man, I'm ready to give them hell?
Yeah, I had a good workout leading up. The last one I did with Kenneth, and Kenneth was doing a full volume workout, and Ed wanted me to practice closing faster, and so we diminished mine a little bit. So I did a 1200, 800, 800, 800. So 12, 8, 8, 8. And normally it's two sets of 12, 8. And so instead of a 12, I just did an 8. Anyways, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. But I ran with Kenneth on those, and it started off really well. I probably ran like a 315, 1200, which is always, that's normally like the quickest I'll go comfortably. And that felt really good. And then we went to an 800 and 208. And then the second set, it was supposed to be like, hey, let's just kind of close it down, like run the first lap normal and then kind of close over barriers and see what you can do. And I think I went like 203 for the penultimate 800. And then for the last 800, I went 2 flat over with a barrier last lap. And I was like feeling good. And I was like, this is what I'm talking about right here. And so to be able to close, and that wasn't the last time either. Like a couple times I had closed in 2 flat. And that felt really good, 2 flat, 201. But to be able to do it at the end of like a solid workout felt really good. So that gives me a lot of confidence, because I also feel like I wasn't able to show that in the race just because I haven't had to push myself per lap that hard. And so I know that I still have a lot to give, and I'm excited to show that kind of strength at hopefully USA's.
How bad did you want that sub 2 on that last wrap, or were you happy with the 2 flat? That's moving.
I was very happy with it. Yeah, it's very effort based. I didn't like. I'm trying not to pay attention to what time I'm running either. I've tried that a lot this season. Like I don't even like running with a watch. I just go effort based, and once I find the effort, then from there I'll try to lock that pace in. But for this one, we went out just whatever, probably, I don't know, 62, 63, and then just closed with whatever I could close after that workout. And so I know that I probably could have run faster if I let the first lap be quicker. But it felt good to just send it and know that, like, okay, I can go sub 2, but I don't know. I try not to like be a workout warrior, but there's a time and a place. Like I've really focused on not going too anaerobic until it's time. And so now that it was like peaking time for NCAAs and I needed to go anaerobic in some workouts to get that stimulus, I was very happy to push myself hard. So we'll go sub 2 at some point, but it's not necessary.
How do you bridge the gap between NCAA fitness and US making a team fitness? Because, your race at NCAAs maybe could have made the team, but I know in your head that you want to take it up a notch, next month in Eugene, and you're probably going to have to do so to make the team, but you have the confidence because, you've done it once, you can do it again. What does that look like in terms of, we've talked about these kind of perspective shifts, like you've been focused on the NCAA, now it's national. How do you, switch the mindset and get that extra little bit of motivation going into training?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't feel like my fitness needs any different kind of boost. Like, I am way fitter than I was last year in my mind, like to just reflect it in the workouts. Like I'm running workouts consistently faster. And like the fastest I ran last year is now my baseline for workouts starting now. And so I don't feel like worried at all in terms of like, I need to up my fitness. Like, oh my goodness, I stretched myself too long. That is like not my worry at all. But the thing I've thought about a lot this season is like, until you get into a race where you have to push yourself, where you can start matching the level of fitness you're at, it's difficult to show what you can do. And so right now, I feel like I haven't been able to push myself hard enough, because this has been the only true effort. Like nationals was the only true effort I've had where I've been having to like run fast, I guess. Because in the beginning of the season, I ran on my own for a lot of races. And so it's very difficult to push yourself. as fast as you want to go. So going into USA's, I think the mindset shift will happen as a result of just racing better competition. And that prelim I'm really looking forward to, because I feel like with the same level of fitness I have right now, I can still drop 5-10 seconds, but it's going to be a matter of activation being higher, like the what's it called? My adrenaline and fight or flight response, like everything's just turned on bigger, like the threat is bigger. And so I think that fitness wise, I'm not worried at all. It's going to be more about getting in races where I can raise that activation level and tell my brain I need to pull more out of my performance. And then also just having race nationals and pushing myself harder. My body now knows, okay, we can push hard, and like we remember how hard it is to push, but you're fine and you didn't blow up. Because there's always a level of, oh my goodness, I haven't run this fast yet this season, and so should I be feeling this way? Like, is it okay to hurt? And so, yeah, fitness wise, I feel like I'm fitter than when I ran 8:13, and 8:13 felt very smooth. Obviously, paced race, you have the rail, no one's racing you, so it's very different. But in that same breath, I'm very excited because I don't feel like I'm behind fitness at all, but it's just going to be a matter of getting in races where I can push myself right before. So I'll make sure to race before USA's so that I can get that activation level up.
Another steeple or off race?
Yeah, I both actually. I just got news that I'll be racing in France and in Monaco for the Diamond League, so I'm very, very excited about that.
That's not a bad chance to race fast.
Oh yeah, I like that is the perfect race. It is like a dream come true to be able to race in a Diamond League. So I'll race a Diamond League in Monaco for the Steeplechase, and that'll be my last kind of tune-up before. And then prior to that, do a 1500 in Nancy, France to kind of get the legs turned over after traveling.
Dare I flip it on your good friend and teammate and former podcast guest, but he is competition when you step on the track. How in the world can an American in the steeple beat Mr. Kenneth Rooks at this point?
Well, I think they're going to have to be gutsy. That's the first thing. Yeah, and Kenneth is a competitor just like everybody else. And as much as I hold Kenneth to a very high standard in my mind, I also know that when it comes to racing, I can outrace people on the day. And I think the same is said for anybody. Like, I don't think that it's going to happen lightly. I don't think many people are going to be able to beat Kenneth. But in that same respect, we said the same thing about Kenyans and Ethiopians in the Olympics, and Kenneth beat them. So I think the same can be said for any level of competition. But you got to respect the man. He's crazy. So it's going to take a lot of effort, but it's definitely it's doable, just like everybody else.
Whether it's him or BYU teammates, do you feel a sense of mercy when you're racing against them, or are you able to shut off that kind of friendship and just go after it?
It's definitely different. Like, I haven't had to race Kenneth for a while now. And to be fair, last year I wasn't really with him and I wasn't thinking about him. And I knew he was going to do his own thing, and I knew that I needed to get top 3. And so it wasn't like I was right on his shoulder, like having to battle these thoughts. And so I honestly don't know what it's going to feel like. Like, I really don't.
What about cross? Let's go back to the fall.
Sure. Cross country, no mercy.
No?
I feel like I'm very good at like racing my teammates, and I have no problem because I never want to feel like they got to win and I wasn't trying my hardest. I never want them to feel that way. And so the same for me. Like, I am never going to give anybody any grace in the race because I want to know that I give my best no matter who I'm racing. And it's also easier when there's other people in the race. Like, if it's just teammates racing, it's very difficult to get that up. Like, when we went and did our opener, like, it was just us basically and a couple other people. But in reality, it was just like a time trial for us to open our season. And that was difficult to have it pretty much just be my teammates because it just feels like practice. But in a race like USA's where you've got a teammate, but you've also got all these other guys, it's once you're out there, like, you're courteous, but you're not trying to be nice. I don't know if those can work together, but I think you know what I mean. Like,
no, it makes sense. Makes sense.
You're there to win. You're there for a championship, which is to perform the best, and you're gonna help each other by pushing harder, so that you're forced to run faster. So, yeah, I think I can switch it off. We'll see.
Yeah. How was cross for you? Was that good? Was it hard? Like, going from the Olympics and starting your season late to going into cross, which you're good at, but it's not the same level of expertise as the steeplechase. You're not competing for a national title. Was that a nice refresh, or how do you view the fall season?
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, it's such a team-oriented, it's a different sport in my mind. So team-oriented sport. And I came in And yeah, I can look back to some races where, we'd go to a meet and dominate, like we went to the Dillinger Invite and swept, and I had no problem racing my teammates there. I was happy to give it everything I had, and I came away with second that day, but I was like giving everything to try to win. And so I feel like in cross country, it's nice to come back and be challenged, and I have no problem with that because I see it as like a stepping stone. Like everybody has their own individual goals, and so by racing each other and putting forth a lot of effort, you're helping push them towards their own goals and you towards your goals. It doesn't have to be like a zero sum game, right? Where like if I win, you lose kind of thing. Like we can both, obviously in points, yes, but in terms of like goals, you can both push each other. So I had a good time in cross. It's funny. I like definitely thought that I could get top 10, especially with how I was feeling. And I got really sick, and it was such a bummer. And I was out for just at least workout wise, like through indoor as well until basically conference. It was a miserable time, but regardless, like most of cross country was really, really enjoyable for me. And I took it as a way to prove myself that I could do hard things outside of steeplechase. And if I get the chance to run on the cross country season, I definitely want to show myself that I can do that as well. It'd be more about showing myself that I can run other stuff. So it'd be pretty fun.
Yeah. What's your perspective on that? Eligibility wise, do you want to stay in the sport for as long as you can? Do you want to sign a deal? I mean, you're at the level obviously where you can run professional. I'm sure that's the goal. How do you view that?
Yeah, I mean, long term, the goal is just to do something that's going to support my family, and especially right now, like expecting a kid on the way, like perspective changes a little bit, like just different. But in
that strength,
right,
sub-8.
Yeah, yeah, that would be pretty nice. But yeah, I'm open to possibilities right now. We're in the talks of different things. Nothing's set, but I'm open to both because I see it very differently now than I probably did even a year ago with the changes in NIL, the changes in the ability for schools to pay athletes. That changes a lot of things positively and negatively. And so if I continue staying in college, I think there's a lot of value there, and I think I can do a lot of good and help my team and also raise my stock even higher. I think because there's so many other seasons I have things to prove, like my running prowess in, I see it as a win because I feel like I can be, top 10 in cross country and I can go win another title indoors in another event. It's just I haven't been able to show what I can do in those. I can see it being positive, but in that same breath, like, when your stock's high, sometimes it's good to sell. So I can also see that being positive. So we're in discussions right now, but I'm honestly open to either. It'll kind of depend on several factors, including, as maybe, I don't know, how do I say this? Money's important, in other words. Just
Sure.
As you're thinking about the future, I want something that's going to support me now and then also replace a job later. So as much as I try to say that it's not the focus, like it plays a big role. So that's kind of the discussions we're having right now, is just weighing all the options. And so I honestly I don't really have something I'm leaning towards right now.
All chips are on the table. That's exciting, and it's cool to have those opportunities available for you. If I talked to high school James, if he heard you talk there, would he be pretty stoked, thinking, "Oh, we made this dream come true"?
Yeah,
you were good, but you weren't great, right? Like you were good
that?
enough to run. You were good, but you weren't great, right? Like you were good enough to run for BYU, but probably not making U.S. teams.
No, I was good enough to run for BYU back then too. You got to be like sub 4 at least now to run for BYU. So I'm glad I got in when I did. Different time, different era, of course. But yeah, I think I would be pretty flabbergasted because I think, you don't even know what your own horizons are going to look like even a year away. And so high school me would probably be happy we were still running, but have no idea that we can make money from it and just continue at such a high level. So it'd be pretty dang cool.
Obviously, when you placed third at the trials last year, you didn't know if you were going to the Olympics, and that could be a whole podcast in and of itself. USATF, World Athletics, needs to figure out how to make it way less confusing for everyone involved. But you know what I'm going to ask you. So what was more exciting, winning NCAA title or making the team, placing third?
Oh, man. Very different races. But I think they were cool in their own right. I think the feeling of making a team, or at least placing third, was so sweet because it was like the ultimate underdog story for me. I went in with these expectations no one else probably had for me. I nailed it, and that is like super, super cool. And it's like surprising, like I crossed the line, even though it's my plan. It's just emotionally surprising. And then NCAA's, the expectations there for yourself and everybody else knows what you've done. You vocally said you want to win, and then you nail it. And so like the sweet success of putting it out there and nailing it was just also different, because one's like complete underdog, and then the other one is handling pressure really well. And so they were different in their own right. I think straight joy and elation was probably the trials, because it's just you get the excitement and joy and surprise all at once. But I think this one was more probably relief because it's like, okay, I put myself out there and I nailed it, and I'm coming back with a target on my back. So and you don't expect for half the competition to transfer in. Like over cross country, it was like, oh, and we got 4 more steeplers that are all faster than me. So this is gonna be crazy, and so like that side is probably why it felt so different and was more relief and satisfaction than it was like surprise. So in terms of surprise and happiness, it was probably the trials. But this one is definitely cool in its own right.
What was it like seeing the classic every race that happens POV of Coach Eyestone after the race?
I liked it. It's always very fun to know that your coach is, very animated, which, you don't always see in practice. So it's fun to see him get going. It makes you feel like you created a cool moment for him. But this time I probably made them a little more nervous than they wanted to be. So it was funny to see him really quiet and then all of a sudden get really loud and stuff.
Yeah.
So you can hear Ryan with the stopwatch go click at the 400-meter mark and go, okay, he can still do it. And so I knew they were nervous. But it didn't feel that way in the race, so I'm glad.
What were the emotions when you crossed the finish line, knowing you had won?
First one was definitely relief, and then it was like celebration. Like, yeah, I did that. Like I was saying, like I put myself out there. I said what I wanted to do. I followed it up and did it, and it was I probably had these expectations for myself before I knew what the full field was going to be. If I could have placed a bet off of last year's field, I would have been like, oh my goodness, 100,000%, like I've got this. Like I know everybody, I know how to race them. But then for the field to switch up so like drastically, and for me to basically recognize nobody. I mean, even the guy who got third, the guy from Furman, he had redshirted the previous year, so I hadn't raced him at a national scene, and so I had no idea who this guy was. And I was like, I literally have no idea. And then someone like who is from Virginia, Nathan Mountain, who has eligibility, redshirted this year. So it was like everybody that I knew was gone, and there's guys that I've never raced and still didn't race in the season. So I think all those other factors happening and me still being able to pull it off was just like so cool afterwards. Like I initially relief, and then I just like celebrated afterwards, just like let out a yell. I was like, yes, I nailed it. Like I can race people on the day. It doesn't matter like kind of who shows up or what I was expecting. So
fun fact, I raced against Nate Mountain in high school. Don't ask me what the record was. I think that'll speak for itself, but he's
funny.
a good guy. So
Yeah,
anyways,
he's cool.
And yeah, Ohio's funny because like we are deep, but if you are that guy on the national stage and you happen to be from Ohio, you will sweep everyone in terms of in-state. So he was like, funny. It was cool. And I think it's cool with states. You're from California, I believe, so it's probably a little bit different where it's just the state of excellence. But Ohio, it's like if a guy does well on the national stage, people get really excited. So
yeah.
Anyways, looking forward. What are you looking forward to in the coming month of training, of life, and how's it been balancing, being a father to be? I think I want to say you just got married right before we spoke on the podcast last time. So
yeah,
this last year's been a movie for you. So how are you taking it
on? Let's see. I'm looking forward in the near future to celebrating my anniversary. So that's coming up. Yep, July 5th. And then I'll be in France at that point. So getting to race abroad is very, very cool. And in this case, doing it mid-season is a dream come true. I mean, I feel like a pro already, just being able to have this awesome chance to race in a Diamond League. That's always been, I guess, a dream of mine beyond anything in the NCAA. Like, just as a kid, like, that was what I'd watch on TV is, like, I'd watch the pros race in a Diamond League, and it's just so cool. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to being done with my spring term in a week here. And then looking forward to,
How's it still going on? That's nuts.
I know. Yeah, I got a couple days. It's only a couple days left. And then, at the end of August, I guess I'm welcoming a kid into the world, a little baby girl. So we're excited about that. But in terms of balancing all that, we've kind of just had to try in some ways to compartmentalize things when we're planning, and then when we actually are living life, we try to have everything like fit together. And so when I'm racing, it's not just my thing anymore. I try to fly my wife out or drive her out to everything because I want her to be there for all those things, and it's something we're doing together now a lot more. It's not just like James's thing, oh, James is gone for the week. It's like, no, we're gonna be gone for the week. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out what we have to do, what we have to pay, because it's different now. We're a family, and so we've been making that a big goal. And so I'm looking forward to, as much as possible, being able to bring my wife everywhere. We won't be able to do it as she gets closer to her due date, but yeah, interesting stage of life. I don't think even a lot of pros go through this because maybe they don't plan on having kids, during their pro career. But I'm super excited. I think it's going to be great. It'll give me some extra motivation for running, and also it'll be really fun, to have somebody, a little kid to cheer for me who's related. So yeah, interesting times, but very fun. And I feel like the more I try to make everything one cohesive thing instead of having like 6 different parts of my life that all feel like they're competing, the easier it's going to get, and the more that it's just going to all feel worth it.
It's awesome, man. And congrats. It's so exciting. And yeah, it'll be super cool to see all that unfold for you. Final question for you, or serious question for you. For those who have listened to this discussion, are inspired by kind of your journey and path where like you were good back in the day, but as we said, like you weren't what you are today. What advice, what encouragement would you have for them in terms of sticking on their path, chipping away at greatness every single day, even if they don't see it in the immediate moment?
Yeah, I think because when I had a perspective of always wanting to be better, I was able to see such big growth. Even when I was in high school, my focus was never like, oh, I'm just doing this like because it's cool, like I had a lot of fun, but even when I wasn't performing at the highest levels, I still had the perspective of I just want to be better than I was last year. I just want to be better than I was last workout. And the more you have that mindset consistently, it opens the door for opportunities. And when you have that mindset, when those opportunities come around, you can do great things. And I think if you're sporadically having motivation and you're like, okay, I'm going to train really hard this season, it's difficult because opportunities come when you're consistent, I think. And so I've always had that mindset of just want to be a little better than I was, not, anybody else. You're not focused on how fast the new high schoolers are running. You're not focused on, the random kid in your grade or the freshman in high school that's destroying, you're just focused on a little better than I was last year. And I think then when opportunities roll around, you're there to take advantage of it and you have a good mindset. So that's kind of my recommendation. Is just have the right mindset. Don't compare yourself. And if you're consistent, when opportunities do come around, you'll be ready for them.
Before we hit record, final question for you. You were eating an Eggo waffle. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's been a minute since I myself consumed one. Let's go this. James Corrigan, rank top 3 best breakfast foods, 3 to 1.
Oh, okay. Breakfast foods. Let's see. I'm going to say breakfast burritos at 3.
Okay.
One of my favorites.
Are they as good in California as people make them out to be?
Or what is good?
Breakfast burritos.
Oh, I think they are, yeah. You got to cook them right. I like them more of like a Mexican style breakfast burrito. I don't know. There's this really good place in LA that does like kind of Mexican American continental breakfast, and so you'll have like a big plate of pancakes and then right next to it like a carne asada burrito with like beans on the side, and it is like the best combo. It's so good. Anyway, so that being said, I think number 2, this is hard to pick 3. I'm actually not that diverse in my stuff, but I'll skip to 1 and come back to 2. Number 1 has got to be just the classic continental breakfast, but it has to be made good. They can be pretty rough. Mm-hmm. So I think a classic like bacon, eggs, toast, pancakes, that's my favorite. That's like, if we're traveling, I love getting that. So I don't know what my number 2 would be. Number 2 would probably just be like
waffles or pancakes.
Maybe be waffles and pancakes. Probably pancakes. Waffles can get a little dry for me, so I'd probably just do normal pancakes. Yep.
James, thank you for the time, specifically so soon after NCAA's. Really appreciate it, and congrats on all the continued success, and I know it's only going to continue for you, so keep up the great work, and appreciate the time today.
Yep, you bet. Thanks so much.